So today we're going to be making a pumpkin spice latte tumbler topper, and it's a pretty easy project. So we're going to get started here with a 2-part epoxy resin, and we're going to make the bases first. I will leave a full supply list in the description, so if you guys need any help purchasing supplies, you'll be able to find a list of what I used there. So I'm mixing up 30 ml of resin. You probably won't need this much. You're going to need some of these silicone molds. I've got these from Amazon. They are a coaster mold, and they're really useful for making removable toppers. If you want them to be removable, you also want to get some of these little magnets. These ones are a little on the small side, but they work really well. I'd maybe get the little size, probably one up from these. They're very, very tiny. If you can see, these are great, but they're very small. So I'm just going to add these into there. And then we're just going to mix up our resin. And I'm going to put a white resin dye into this. So you don't have to add the white resin dye if you don't want to, but that's what I'm going to use for this. You can use any color resin dye you want. If you want to make this black with a black base, you can do that as well. But we're going to make these, start with the white base. So this is the resin dye that I use. It's from Let's Resin. My favorite resin dye that I've used so far. It doesn't tend to fade or do anything weird. Some of the resin dyes, the cheaper ones, I've noticed that they tend to settle or they oxidize with a little bit of time, and that just ruins your item. So definitely don't skimp on the resin dye if you're planning on using dyes in your epoxy. Definitely get a little bit better quality, and it'll be better in the long run. All right, so once this is mixed up, we're going to add this just to our bases. One of these I'm making with magnets in it, the other one I'm not. But again, if you want them to be removable and stay on, definitely add your magnets. All right, so we're just going to put this in our molds, and if you've got bubbles in your molds, you want to just fire those off with a creme brulee lighter is the best way I've found. You can use a normal lighter, but I find that they are a little hard to maneuver around when you're doing this. So definitely, if you're doing a lot of resin, definitely get a creme brulee lighter, or you can get a chamber, an anti-gas chamber for your resin, which is also another great thing. I don't have one, so I just use the lighter. It works just fine. If you're doing a lot of these, probably do want to invest in one of those chambers. But again, if you're just doing this on a little part-time basis or for yourself, this stuff works just fine. So we're going to let these cure overnight, and then I will be back to finish these. All right, so we're back and our bases are cured, and I've just picked one of the bases out of the 3, and we're going to get ready to start on our rest of our topper. And then we're just going to demold our topper, and as you can see, it's got a little bit of a divot there from me cutting into that, but it'll be just fine. You're not going to notice it once it's on top of your tumbler. So next thing we're going to do is get our lightweight spackle. The one I'm using is Fast and Final Lightweight Spackling. The reason I like this spackle is it's really, really light colored, so you don't have to add white paint or anything to this as long as you're trying to keep it the original color that you're going for. So it's really a light, nice whipped cream color already. No need to add anything to it. We're going to need some piping bags. I'm going to be using 3 different piping bags for this, and you're going to need a piping end. Just use whichever end you like. I'm going to try this end today. It's one of the bigger ends for one of my larger piping bags. I'm out of the clear piping bags right now, so I'm just going to use these ones that you can easily wash. So we're also going to need for this some mica powder. I'm using 3 different ones. I'm using a coffee brown, an orange, which is kind of a burnt orange, and then orange red. I'm going to need a container to put this into as well to mix it up. I use these little red Solo cups. If you have a foam cup, that's fine. Whatever you've got that you can either rinse out or toss out when you're done. I typically reuse them just because you can, so why not? So let's get started. So first thing we're going to do is mix up a little bit of our spackling with some of the mica powder. You don't need too much. That's probably a big heaping tablespoon, but if you're going to make more toppers, then add more, of course, but I'm just making one. So we're going to add I don't measure anything while I'm making stuff, so I just kind of go with it. Oh, something else we're going to need with this is some saran wrap. I did forget about that. It's not 100% necessary, but if you're going to do it like this, you're going to need the saran wrap too. So I start with the mica. I add 1 scoop of each, and then we kind of adjust the color accordingly. So if it isn't quite what you're looking for, you can add more. It's better to start with less because you can't take it away once you've got it in there. All right, so I'm just using a straw to stir this. A spoon would be better, but of course I don't have one with me. I really need to remember to bring them with me. That's a nice color. I want this to be pumpkin colored. You make it whatever color you want. You want it to be kind of caramel colored. Adjust your colors appropriately. So this is a little bit of a small amount to put into a piping bag, but we're going to do it anyways. Should be fine. Okay, that's mixed up. And it is the color I'm looking for, which is kind of like a burnt pumpkin color. All right, so I'm just going to put that to the side for right now. And we're going to take some of our lightweight spackling just in the plain color it comes in, and we're going to put it into a piping bag. Now I just use one of my plastic tumbler cups to do this. It actually works pretty well, and they're about the right size for these bags, but whatever you've got available, this is what I use. Works great. It's perfect size. And we're just going to scoop this directly in. Oh, something else that you can definitely use for this project, which I should have mentioned right at the beginning, is Model Magic, which is what I use to build up the base of my tumbler before I add the spackling, so you don't have to try to fight with the spackling or wait for it to dry or anything in between layers. I really love it. It works out great. So now that we've got that in there, we are going to do our other color. All right, so we're just going to set this to the side. We're just going to use one of these dollar store piping bags, which work fine for what we're going to be using this for. And we're just going to add our spackling to this bag, the colored spackling. Another way you can do this is if you look at my skeleton tumbler topper video, you can see another way that you can do this, but I find it doesn't turn out quite as uniform, but it is another easy way to do this. All right, we're just going to pull that up, and now we're going to get our saran wrap. All right, so we're just going to plain old saran wrap, nothing special, just peel off a piece of it. You don't need too big of a piece. That's how big of a piece I'm going to use. I think that's about a foot. Or plastic wrap, I guess I should say. Any kind of plastic wrap. All right, so now we're going to squeeze this down into our bag. Cheap bags. Poked a hole in it already. That's all right. They came from the dollar store and I didn't really like them to begin with, which is why I haven't used them in anything yet. All right. So I'm just going to twist that off. Hopefully I can get this to come out of here properly. Okay, and we're just going to do just a line of the piping, just straight down. Actually, I think I'm going to do 2 lines just because I don't want to reuse any of this piping for anything else. But 1 line would be sufficient. But this little bag's going to go directly into the garbage, so I might as well use up what I've got in the little piping bag. All right. And now we are going to do the white spackling. So same thing, push it down. All right. All right, and now we're just going to take our saran wrap and just flip it onto the other side. Don't get your saran wrap caught in between the layers. You don't want that. You want the white to touch the white on the other side, and you're just making like a little cabbage roll here. All right, so you're going to take one end, you're going to twist it. You can roll this up if you wish. Makes it, I guess, a little easier. You're going to twist the one end just like that. And then we're going to cut the other end off with your pair of scissors here. So just cut that off. And now we are going to stick this whole thing into this other piping bag with this other end on it. So let's just take the whole thing. Drop it into your piping bag. Shake it down. You can see that in there. So it's down at the base right here. So then all we're going to do is, I don't like these non-clear piping bags for this, but it will still be fine. Let's get that down at the end as much as you can. Now you've got your little tumbler base. We're going to grab about a golf ball size of Model Magic. It doesn't have to be exactly that, but something similar. You're just going to make it into just a round shape, and you're just going to pop it right onto your tumbler base. All right, now we're ready to pipe this. I'm just going to lower this camera a little bit. And we're going to go from the base here and squeeze this down until you have some of your piping coming out. So see, there you go. Now we're going to pipe this. All right, so we're just going to start on the edge here. And you can twist this or turn this or do whatever you want as you see fit. And there you go. There's our caramel pumpkin spice topper. I'm going to let this dry, and then I will bring this back to you tomorrow. So before I go, I did get these at the dollar store here, these little pumpkin, adorable little pumpkin. I don't know what these are. I don't know what they call them, but the Halloween craft section. They were $2 for a bag. I am in Canada, so we have Dollarama here, but I'm sure something similar is probably available at the dollar store in other places. If not, check Amazon. They might have something. I'll see if I can find anything to link in the description. But you can add some of these to this if you want as well. I think I'm going to add a couple in here, at least one. And there you go. Perfect. That's so cute. If you want to add something else to this, you want to add a cinnamon stick or straw or whatever you feel like adding, you can do that as well. But we're going to wait till this sets up, and then I'll be back to take a better picture of it. All right, and here is our cute little pumpkin spice latte tumbler topper. I think it turned out pretty cute. I like that it's removable. If you want to resin this, it will keep it a little easier to clean. So if you need to wash it, you can wash it if you resin it. If you don't resin it, I really don't know how well this would wash because it is quite foamy. So I would definitely recommend sealing this. You can either do a dip in an epoxy resin or use UV resin on it. So I hope you've enjoyed this cute little tumbler topper video. I put out at least one new video every week, so please do subscribe. It really does help me build the channel, and thanks so much for watching.